Hey, good evening. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to 8 p.m. Behind the Scenes. I'm Rita Joyan. And if you've never joined me before, this is behind the scenes what I do Monday to Friday. And I take time out to show you behind the scenes of what I do to teach people how to find their passion and how to monetize it. And specifically because I'm on the last leg, literally, of our South Asian and Middle Eastern tour, I usually take you behind the scenes of what's going on throughout this tour. And so while I'm still in tour mode, because we've got one more city and we're about to embark on it in about a week and a half, I'm about to go over to Kuala Lumpur for the last of the workshops. And it's been a wild ride. In fact, I'm going to do a whole behind the scenes on the whole experience if ever you're looking at speaking or workshopping or looking to monetize your passion using speaking as a vehicle to make it happen. But tonight, what I want to talk about specifically, and what I think would be truly valuable for you, is this thing called mind hacks. And I'm going to give you a broad example about how I've helped someone create this hack, one of my close friends, in something nothing to do with finding your passion or monetizing it. It's an area of her personal relationship. And hopefully by sharing it, this can give you an aha moment that mind hacks really do work. So a really good friend of mine, and our background is Muslim. So as Muslims, when you're looking to go and find someone in terms of when you're ready to get married, so you don't meet someone for the purpose of going out with them or anything like that. You are basically courting them and you're just basically wanting to know them for the purpose of marriage. And so your families know, everyone's on the journey, but this person may come to your house and just meet with you in terms of to get to know you, right? To your parents' home where you live, and they just want to get to know you. So anywho, so my friend was sharing with me that every time someone comes to not propose, but comes to her parents' home to meet with her to see if she's someone that they could be compatible with, her brain screams, do I want to marry him? And she's like, no, like never. So the first thing, she's just met this person. She has no idea who it is. So she wasn't going anywhere fast with the prospect of having this overwhelm. So you can imagine that it's a scary thought that, now obviously she's got her own, what's the word for it? She's at her own liberty to say yes or no. No one's forcing her, but just meeting someone is quite hard for her. And so in terms of finding that compatibility and then asking the question internally, do I want to marry this person? So anyway, she was sharing this with me one time. And I said to her, you know, you need a mind hack. And what I mean by that is you need to be able to ask yourself, rather than asking the question, do I want to marry him? Which is like such a big question when you don't know someone and you're trying to get to know them, court them for the purpose of marriage. And they're in the vicinity of your home with your parents and it's like it's an overwhelming task. I said, rather than asking, do I want to marry them? Why don't you mind hack it? And it's called mind hacking to her, but it is a mind hack. I said, ask the question, do I want him to come over for another coffee? Do I want him to come over to my parents' home for another coffee? And that way it's not so overwhelming. So you're allowing your brain to just get to know this person without the stifling, scary question of, do I want to marry him and I don't even know him? So she asked that question to herself. So after a long time of not being able to meet anyone compatible, the last person that came to propose, just to get to know her at her parents' home, to court her, instead of asking, do I want to marry him, she asked herself the question, do I want him to come over and be with me and my family for another coffee? And she was like, yeah, no harm. And then he came, had coffee with the family and her. She's getting to know him. And then she asked the question, do I want to know him for another coffee? And she said, yeah, why not? So off he came again. And then her parents and her invited him, do you want to come over for lunch? Like they just asked the question, do we want him to come over for lunch one day? They're like, yeah, why not? So he comes over for lunch. And so slowly, can you see what's happening? The mind hack. Rather than this overwhelming, scary question, do I want to marry him? The question was switched in its perspective and asked, do I just want to see him one more time? Do I just want to have another coffee? Do I want him to come and see my parents again? And that was what enabled her to really get to know him while her parents were involved in everything. And he was really able to get to know her. And now I'm happy to say they are happily married. Now, The purpose of this is that in any task that we do, where we find it scary, hairy, and something that we just don't want to grapple in, we can we easily psych ourselves out of it because the task seems so big. And the way to overcome that task is to mind hack your brain. It's really all you've got to do. It's a strategy of thinking. In fact, the only reason why you and I are kind of dawdling or stumbling or not getting to where we are is really because we haven't worked out the mechanics of our mind, hacking our mind to enable us to go and do something about that, to actually go and deliver it, to do it. So one of these mind hacks that I'm going to share with you is by Kerwin Rae. And he says that when you're doing anything in business or anything to do with your passion or anything that's kind of scaring you, right? Like if you are afraid to put yourself out in social media, if you are afraid to speak about a situation that's close to you, like I just shared, right? It's a situation with one of my good friends that you don't know my good friend, but I'm sharing a scenario in which a brain hack really enabled her to see past this limitation, see past the overwhelm of the task at hand, right? And anything that's hairy and scary is going to feel like it's an overload. And so this mind hack is anything you go and execute, ask yourself, or no, actually tell yourself, not ask yourself, tell yourself whether it has anything to do with your passion and monetizing it. This is fun, this is easy, this is simple. That's it. That's it, nothing more than that. You want to tell your brain, this is easy, this is simple, this is fun. So say, for example, you're about to do a video and it's kind of getting a bit, what am I going to say? What am I going to look like? Am I going to sound right? Are people going to like me? All those thoughts that come to your head when you're going to do a live video or any task, tell yourself, this is easy, this is simple, this is fun. And by doing that, you're able to mind hack your mind so that you're not going into this mode of, oh my goodness, this is a huge task. Anything that we do, like including, like I just showed you a relationship one, anything to any individual that seems too big, you're really only, I find, you're only a mind hack away from slowly, gradually enrolling yourself into doing it. And so what's important to know is that when you're looking at mind hacks, you have to be able to you have to enroll yourself. And what do I mean by enroll yourself? You have to sell yourself on that belief. So when I told my friend, ask yourself a different question rather than do I want to marry him? Do I want to see him? Do I want him to come to my parents' house another time? And she's like, yeah. Do I want him to come to my parents' house for coffee? Yeah, not a big hard question. Do I want him to come to my parents' house for lunch? Right? So can you see? So she could have just said yes or no. It's a yes or no, black or white answer. It's not this hairy, scary thing of the rest of my life. But as she enrolled herself in getting to know him by asking that simple question, that mind hack, it enabled that barrier of limitation, that barrier of reservation, that barrier of being scared to come and go to the side. Does that make sense? And so when you're looking at things like your passion and how to monetize it, a lot of the times when people start, number one, identifying their passion, they think like, okay, so how do I start now? It's like a big mountain. So say I want to become a writer, or say I want to become a pianist. Say I want to, whatever your passion is, and say now you've identified it. This is what I want to do. And then now you look at the progress, is like you're hot and heavy, you're ready to go for it. But once you're in the zone of going into your passion, you realize that it's a lot bigger than what you anticipated. Because now you have to up-level your skill set. You need to up-level your thinking. You need to get mind hacks. Because for so long, you maybe thought you couldn't do it, or you believed you couldn't do it, or there was some kind of barrier to entry. And so now that you know your passion, the biggest thing I find where people stop is they think it's just too hard. It's going to take too long. I mean, am I too old? Am I too young? Am I too fill in the blank? And the way to overcome that too mentality, am I too this, am I too that, am I not enough, am I whatever that might be, is to brain hack yourself and tell yourself, this is easy, this is simple, this is fun. Period. That's it. Whatever it is that you're doing, and keep reminding yourself so that you enroll yourself in it. Mind hacks don't work just straight off the cuff. Just like when you go to a course, just like you go to a program, you go to a motivational seminar, for example. once you're motivated in the room, the motivation wears off, right? The motivation wears off after a day, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, it wears off. So that's why you have to keep at it. Just like brushing your teeth, you got to keep at it. And so these mind hacks work in the same sphere, that they only work when you specifically work to remind yourself that whatever is hairy and scary in your world, in the world of finding your passion and monetizing it, to ask yourself, to tell yourself this is easy, this is simple, this is fun. And that's the way to really mind hack your brain so that it minimizes the stress. It minimizes the overload. It doesn't take this hairy, scary thing and create it even bigger, but it minimizes the overwhelm so that you can manage it. And it's bite-sized pieces. Just like I told my friend, it's got to become in bite-sized pieces. And when you can maintain bite-sized pieces, like she got married. Woo for her. Happily, by the way. Happily married, might I say. Nothing to do with me, all to do with her brain hacking by changing the question. And then the same thing goes for anything to do with your passion, anything to do with monetization. This is easy, this is simple, this is fun. Tell yourself, enroll yourself, and that's how you're going to hack your mind. So that's what I wanted to share with you this evening, this lovely Thursday evening on Behind the Scenes, 8 p.m. So I'll be doing tomorrow night as well, behind the scenes video on exactly another specific way of mind hacking, but I'm going to hold that out for tomorrow's behind the scenes. So I want to say thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you joining me. And I mostly appreciate the fact that you take the time out to want to learn and upskill and up-level yourself through these snippets as we do them 8 p.m. live, Monday to Friday. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you tomorrow night behind the scenes. Bye.